Welcome back to West Texas View.
Before the break, Judy was talking about how she came out of her own experience to start the AIDS support group, primarily just to minister to the families that had nowhere else to turn. And so then you saw the need to broaden it a lot more than
Well,
that.
actually what happened, because my mother and I both got cancer in the middle of it, she died a short time after my brother, and I believe and will forever that she died of a broken heart, because he was the baby of our family, and we loved him so much. So we had no one to talk to. We feared for our lives. People tried to find out where we lived, wanted to run us out of town. We feared for our lives. And it's something that needs to not be forgotten today, how horrible that was. So I just wanted to start a little support group for family members so that they would have someone to talk to and not get sick like my mother and I did. And on night one of group, family members came and people with HIV and AIDS, and they didn't come just from Midland. They came from Odessa, they came from Stanton, from Big Spring. There was such a need. And I had someone from the Red Cross, a psychologist, one of our pastors, helping me start this, and we all panicked. Oh my gosh, the families won't talk. They won't feel free to talk, and all of this. And finally, the pastor, Dick Braun, and I, he's passed away now, we looked at each other and just started laughing, and one of us said, well, God sent them here.
Yeah.
So obviously he's going to show us, he's got a different idea. So it wasn't that we did it. From the beginning, God, I really give him all the glory for this, because it's his ministry. I did not set out to do certain things. In fact, even the support group for families, a man from First Methodist Church, Larry McIntosh, called me one day and said, you don't know me, but you're going to know me. And I thought, is this an obscene phone call? You know, but he said,
or is this a threat?
Right, yes. What do you mean? And he said, our pastor has come to me because I'm head of our outreach program, and said, we have a family with AIDS in our church, and I want you to go out and see if there's any outreach programs, and if not, we'll start one. And Larry McIntosh said to me, he said, I went to the hospital, I went to hospice, I went to Red Cross. He listed, I don't know how many, he said, and they all gave me your name. He said, so obviously God wants you to have this ministry. So God just pulled me in, and as far as the speaking,
and connected you with the right people that you needed to know.
Well,
or that needed to know you.
Actually, what happened, we were having our group in our church, First Presbyterian, that has housed us all these years until just recently, and the pastor stopped by one day and said, we've got a problem. People are finding out that your little group is in the children's chapel on Monday night, where the children will be on Sunday, and they're threatening to leave. And so we've got to get you out. And so we want to move you over to a bank building where we have some offices until we can figure out what to do. And that was the pivotal moment for me, that I knew God gave me a voice, because until that moment, my whole life, I'd been a people pleaser. Whatever, okay, very shy. But when
he said, we've got to take a stand on
And when
this.
he said that, I said, no. And I almost fainted, because I love this man and all of the people in our church who are more than supportive today. We just all grew up together. And he said, what? And I said, no. If I'm forced to take this group out of this church, it will not be to a bank building, it'll be to another church. I'll be going with it, and we won't be back. And then I proceeded to almost faint, you know. And he said, no, we're not doing that. He said, you're not going anywhere. He said, come and educate us. Come to our staff meeting, which was a large, and what had happened, the janitors had all gone on strike. They didn't want to even walk into our room, breathe the air where we had been, much less pick up a styrofoam cup and throw it away. And so that was the first time I said, no, I don't speak. He said, you know this like the back of your hand, so you come. I was so nervous. And so I just took some things to read from the CDC, from the National Health Association and everything. Unprepared, they just turned the whole program over to me. Another time that I almost fainted. And I read a lot of stuff and ended up just, I didn't know God had given me a voice, but it just started spilling out of my mouth. And when I got through, the head of the janitors that housekeeping that sat at the end of the table opposite me, he said, that's all I needed to hear, I'm fine. And he walked out, and they've, you know, in fact, later one of their family members came down with HIV, and I ended up helping them. The woman in charge of our youth came up crying. She said, you've got to come speak to my youth. They need to hear what you're saying. And that was the second time that I said, no, I don't speak in public. She said, I don't know how to tell you this, but you just did. And so I went and spoke, and then somebody sat in and that wasn't supposed to be there and came and said, I need you to come to Trinity, our private school there, and speak to the kids there. They need to hear what you have to say. I thought, Lord, what are you doing to me? I don't speak in public. That was the third time I said, no, I don't speak in public. She said, you just did, and they've got to hear what you're saying.
It's because if our young people don't hear it and don't hear the facts, and what a huge mistake they can make, then it's a life or death choice.
It is. So I kind of laughingly in my mind thought, Trinity is not going to let me in. She said, if I set it up with the headmistress, will you come? And I said, you set it up, thinking, no way. Well, she did. I went. And
the rest of it's history.
The rest is history. So I've been going around ever since. I'm even speaking in New Mexico now and trying to get it spread all over our country.
But you've got to take it a step at a time, and parents' education is as important as young people.
You bet.
We're going to come back next Sunday and continue this conversation because we've barely dented it, and we're going to ask Patti DeFrance to talk to us a little bit about some of the fundraisers they have and some of the ways that they have to get people to be more aware of this organization. We'll see you next Sunday with another program, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for joining us for News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery. This has been a public affairs presentation of KWAB-TV and KWES-TV.